everything about me, everything about me, everything about me, everything about me. Yeah. Everything about me, everything about me. Hey, 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 everything about me, everything about me, everything about me. Yeah. I'm sitting waiting and I'm wishing on the stars.
Welcome back to One More Thing. I am your host, Ash, joining you for episode 3. Can you believe we're on episode 3? Well, this season we have been talking about love. And in the last episode, we broke down love in its simplest of terms and defining it. But this episode, we're going to be talking about family love, the love of family, and how important it is to have it. And so I want to start off this episode by saying if you're joining us for the first time, great. If you're joining us for the second time, third time, welcome back. If you haven't got a chance to listen to the last episode, listen to that episode. If not, go back to the first episode and start that way. Whichever way you're starting, welcome. This space, like I said, is a safe space for you. It's for healing, self-awareness, personal transformation, while having one honest conversation at a time. So I want to welcome you to One More Thing. Before we get started, I want to personally, we talked about in the first episode of the passing of my brother. I really want to dedicate this episode, since we're talking about family and traditions and things that are really important to me. I want to dedicate this episode to my Aunt Josephine, who passed away actually today. So whenever you guys end up seeing this episode, whether I believe it'll be a month from now, but this is my fourth loss in the last 3 months. Um, Not the easiest of things, but this episode is dedicated to her. Um, I wish I had the chance to interview her. I believe I interviewed her probably in college and wrote it down, but I was lucky enough to interview my brother for a college class, but um, I am very excited to introduce our guest of today. But the next episode, we're going to be talking about chosen family. And so that's obviously folks that are not blood related. But for this episode, um, whether you define family like that, whoever is your family, this episode is for you. But for me, on my end, I'm really close to my family. I pretty much call everybody all the time. I keep in touch with everybody from extended family. And so the person that taught me the importance of family and keeping family together is my mom. I told you I would be talking about her a lot. Well, everyone, she is here. I'm going to call her in a moment, but I could not think of anybody else to do this episode with but the person who gave birth to me, everybody. I'm so excited. I am definitely a mama's boy. I call my mom every single day, probably 4 times a day. Sometimes it's about random thoughts that we both have. We're pretty much in sync. I'm an Aries and she's a Scorpio, water and fire. Who knew that? Who could mix that? But my mom and I have been very close for pretty much my entire life. We're pretty much twins. Um, and so, who else to better do this episode with? Whether you're close, like I said, whether you're close to your mom or your dad or someone that's a parental figure in your life, this episode is for you. And I am so excited to have my mom on this episode. So let's give her a call. Okay. Oh, hi, mom.
Hi, Ashton.
Welcome to One More Thing.
Well, thank you.
I'm so excited to have you. Um,
Yeah.
I've been talking about you in the last 2 episodes, and so I talked about how when I feel like I need to feel that we defined love, but I've defined love as the feeling of home. And so when I feel anxious, I cook, and I was talking about the marinara sauce I called you about. Um, whenever my mom and I, Whenever my mom comes into town to visit me, I make sure we make meatballs. That is like number one because woof, no one makes it better than her. So, um, as I've mentioned in the first episode, I'm half Filipino and half Italian, and so my mom is Italian Irish, and so um, mom, like I said, welcome. And I went ahead and dedicated this episode to our aunt, Josephine, Auntie Joe. And even though she has passed away today, I think it's what a perfect time to talk about something you and I have in common, which is tradition um, and family and um, something that means a lot to both of us. And so I really want to start off with my upbringing and how tradition became such a hallmark of and a pillar of who you and I are. Um, but anyways, let's start. So, Mom, was it easy raising me?
Yeah, you were very easy. You were always, quiet baby, always a happy baby. Um, you were just a pleasure. You always loved going to the park and being on the swings and getting together with your friends and making pizzas. And yeah, you were just a pleasure.
There wasn't a time where I was difficult.
No, you were never difficult.
Mm.
No, I gotta say, one time
Please, please share the one time I
we
was
went
difficult.
we went to the store one time, and you go, Mom, I want this, and it was candy. I only give you like fruit and stuff. And you go, well, if you don't give me this, I'm gonna scream on the top of my lungs. And so I looked at you and I said, you better scream as loud as you can, because when you get home, you're gonna be in your room. So we left.
That was the one time I was difficult?
One time.
You sure I wasn't difficult when we were my parents always took us to Tahoe, or like Tahoe, and this we always stopped at the specific stop on the way there, Casa de Fruta, and I had to get the Mexican Coke. And let me tell you, I got super hyper on sugar when I was a kid, and I believe it still happens now as an adult, but I remember let's just laughing and and just being loud the whole time. My brother going, "Shut up, Ashton." So that wasn't a time I was difficult.
I wouldn't say it was difficult. You were just very hyper and you were never going to get a Coke again.
Never, never, ever again.
Ever,
Um,
ever again until you're an adult.
well, I'm 30 now, so here we are.
Almost
Um,
31.
almost 31. Um, So, for our viewers, for those who were raised in religious households, I was raised Catholic, and so I was baptized. I went to First Communion, I got confirmation, stuff like that. And then I went to Christian high school and then ended up coming out at the age of 21. I feel like I'll brush on that in a moment, but I think it's important to ask Mom, why was it so important bringing me up Catholic?
It was just some. I think being Catholic, being raised, you're structured. Uh, you're close with your family, and to me, it shows love. You're always together, going to church together, and afterwards eating together. It's just a sign of closeness.
Mhm. So, but is there but there it was about togetherness, and so
It was about togetherness, because you learn more about the person, and you start like going to for donuts and just memories, good memories.
I think if I think about it, I think one thing I'm grateful that the reason why I went to Catholic school was I discovered my spirituality at the age of 7 after Papa passed away,
Mm.
and I really did love going to church. At one time, I wanted to be a priest. Everybody, watch out.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, we knew you were going to be a priest for sure. You used to collect crucifixes.
I did. I collected a lot of them. Every time we went to a mission, I had to collect one. Um,
Yes, you did.
I'm sure it's in my dad's house at somewhere in the treasure troves of storage. But
Yes.
but at that very young age, I feel like I learned I got really in tune with spirituality, energy, stuff like that. But I remained Catholic that whole point. I wasn't out, obviously. And then I ended up going to a Christian high school, and I had all my friends were girls. I probably had a very small amount of friends that were guys. Um,
Uh,
but it was I always stayed with it, and I was always like, oh God, this, God, that. And then I moved to college, and I discovered Buddhism, and I think if I speed it up till now, I don't really pinpoint a certain religion on me. I think spirituality for me is where I'm at. I believe there's something higher than us. I've always been in tune with energy and feeling spirits and stuff like that. And so, um, that really, what I can say is thank you for putting me in a religious school, because otherwise I would not have gotten to a point where I discovered that.
and
Um,
structure.
and structure. And you know, I think it was a full circle moment, because as those who are tuning in, the Catholic faith really doesn't shine light, or they're slowly getting there in terms of the LGBTQ plus community. And so it really was a full circle moment for me when when I went to my brother's services, and I saw my 8th grade teacher, my 7th grade teacher come up to me and just talk to me like I was a normal person, um, and express their condolences and everything. But the world is changing for our viewers out there, so it's just one little step at a time. But like I said, I'm very grateful for that part of my upbringing. Um, and as we kind of touched on it, for those who are tuning, I didn't come out till the age of 21. So I think I thought it would be a lot of fun to ask my mom, did you know I was gay? When did you know I was gay? I feel like it's a fun question to ask, because you know what? My mom has never ever judged me, ever. She's always like, hit me with your next shot and I got you, no problem. So, mom, was there a certain age you're like, my son might be gay?
A little bit, because you always wanted to hold my hand,
Mm
even when you got older, and we you were brought up with a very conservative town.
hmm.
Um, but you were always very clingy to me. I guess that could be Mama's boy.
Mm hmm.
Um, but I don't really feel that I even thought about you being gay. I mean, I don't care if you're gay or whatever you are, as long as you're happy.
Mm hmm.
Um, but
Well, the only reason I asked,
and your friends are always been girls, so that was kind of a you
indicator.
know indicator. Um, but it also fit your personality too.
Okay.
You weren't like your Italian cousins, all macho, and you had a lot of love. You had a lot of compassion since you were little.
But there
Not that ego.
but there wasn't like an indicator like, my son might like guys.
Yeah,
Okay.
a little bit, like I said, because you had a lot of girlfriends,
Mm
not any, not much guy friends
hmm.
as
Mm
much.
hmm. Okay.
You seem to relate better with women.
Yeah, and it's funny now. We'll talk about this in the next episode, but all of my friends, most of them, probably 95% of my close circle, are gay men. And so it's hilarious to go from having all straight girlfriends to having all gay guy friends now. But there's a little bit of growth there. But like I said, I didn't come out to the I was until the age of 21. And at that time, I kind of just like went through the motions of like coming out, and I came out probably as bisexual at first, and then I came out as like questioning, and then I met my ex boyfriend at the time, and realized I was like, you know what, I gotta stop just like playing around with this. I'm gay. It's okay. And I remember coming out, and I think the first person I told was my mom. So I I remember us. I remember telling you in my apartment at Channel Islands. I remember, and you were like, "Okay, all right. Well, I kind of already knew, but that's okay." Um, and
Love you.
and her response was the exact same way that my auntie Joe's response was, is that not a who cares, but we're like, meh, you're the same person. Um, Coming from like my Filipino side was really easy, my dad's side, and then going to my mom's side, like the first relative that accepted me for who I am was my auntie Joe. When I brought my ex boyfriend over at the time, she was just her energy did not shift. Her first response was, "Are you hungry? Can I get you a cup of coffee?" The biscottis were always on the table, and coffee was always ready, and she would feed you whatever was in her fridge, or she would make you something. What do you want? You hungry? It was like the supermarket for Italians in there. So, um, I really do. I'm gonna miss going over to her house and just being offered a cup of coffee, and giving up biscotti and all the other things. And I'll, just like I said, she was the first relative on my mom's side, a really conservative Italian side, to just
Very Catholic.
very, very, very Catholic. And my family nowadays on my mom's side is very, they've come around, and it's really nice. My grandfather actually came around the beginning of, um, the end of no, actually, yeah, the beginning of last year. And we had a probably a hour and a half conversation. It was a really interesting conversation. You got to imagine a very just proud Italian man. um, you know, not I no offense, not a lot of experience with queer people.
Mhm.
And so I think him having a gay grandson really like opened his eyes a lot. And I said it was a really interesting conversation. He grew up in the 1940s, and so him being so used to how things are supposed to be, and
Old
how men
school.
are yeah, old school, how men are supposed to act, how women are supposed to act, that you're supposed to do certain things and all the kind of things. That not that there's anything wrong with that. Um, but it was a very eye-opening conversation for him. And he was very honest. He goes, when you started coming out and you started playing around with like makeup and dresses and stuff like that, he goes, it scared me, because it's just not what I'm used to. I grew up in the 1940s where, the Catholic Church and priests were doing such awful things to, young boys and stuff like that. And so he came from that explanation, which is a very interesting explanation to me why he couldn't accept me, but I did appreciate his honesty. Um, and we talked about traditions and family and kind of like circle of that. And so I really gave him his, I don't know, I want to also say I gave him his, um, credit for, I always told him, I said, Nana, you always taught me to live my life with passion, and if you're not doing it with passion, can forget about it. And so I'm doing my life right now. Doing this is making me very happy, and it's something I've always wanted to do. And so, um, I think passion and tradition run strong in my family, and so my mom and I are trying our darndest to keep it alive and well. When Can't think of the day, it's going to make me cry. When my mom goes, I want to carry on the traditions of what she gave me. And there's plenty of traditions that Auntie Joe gave us. I definitely want to look. I don't even. What is that cookie? What is that cookie called with the egg in the middle? Is it a specific name?
Yeah, well, I don't remember the name of it because it's in Italian, but it's with the egg in the middle. It's a traditional thing. It's a Catholic thing. The tradition of the egg. It's a hard boiled egg, colored, and then it has sprinkles on it. It's more like a shortbread cookie, but wrapped around the egg.
See, one of our. I mean, we're going to talk about tradition in a moment, so I'm not going to get into it too much. But the next question is: are there any favorite memories of, raising me? Like, is there like any two memories that come to mind where you're like, that is a core memory of my son?
The day I delivered you was the best day of my life.
If
And I mean, honestly, it was the best day ever. I've always wanted to have children, and I wanted to have sons. Um, what else? When you when you were in plays, stuff like that,
when I w-
I really enjoyed.
when I did the plays at San Carlos,
Uh-huh.
oh gosh, that in middle school they made me do these plays, and I had to remember so not it, actually. I actually asked my teacher at the time if I can have the least amount of lines because I didn't want to remember any of them, and I did not like being in front of people at the time. Now I'm like really good at public speaking. I got my degrees in communications, and so looking back, I'm like, I could have had a little bit more gusto and more confidence, but that's okay. Um, but why are so?
Also,
Go ahead.
going on being together at Disneyland, we were the same. We'd go get our massage, and then we'd get our beignets. I mean, those were the best times, just you and me.
I think those are probably the best times, and I think us whenever my mom comes to LA for her birthday every year. Um, I think it comes back to the tradition of spending time with each other, doing everything, because um, there's no one that gets me more than her. So, having making meatballs and doing cookies and we have a lot of things in common. Like Disneyland was like so much fun. Like we'd have the same energy. Like our feet were tired as hell, but but and then there are times where like I think one of my favorite memories is going to Washington D.C. and when I finished my graduate program, I did it all online. But I said, I really want to go to my graduation, even though they don't even call you by name. They literally just tell you to stand up by degree and sit down, um, which was really funny. But I think it was one of my favorite memories because my mom and I really love to try different foods. I think because of her and my dad, I have a really good eclectic palate. I don't like certain things like raw oysters, but 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 um I I've tried so many things. Like my parents had me try like um crocodile jerky, frog legs, um gizzards, you name it. Like I have probably eaten a lot of things, but going back to DC, like we tried Kenyan food, and let me tell you, that was the most immersive experience I've ever had. Like going into a restaurant, just literally like, do you remember that restaurant?
I do remember that restaurant.
That was
It
probably
was fantastic.
it was probably the most immersive like restaurant I probably ever been in, and actually felt like I was submerged in Kenya. Like,
Oh, for sure, because they're big and they have big shoulders. They look like Samoans.
it's
And
just
all dressed to the T, too.
they're all dressed in traditional clothing. So the restaurant, I I will have to look up the name of this restaurant. I'll put it in the comments and stuff like that when I post this and everything. But what I don't remember. I think it was like we spent a week in DC, so I think it was like day 3 or 4. But it was right near the hotel. We walked like what? How many steps did we walk?
50 miles.
50 miles. Boy, we were sleeping hardcore on the plane ride home. But we walked with this restaurant. You'd walk in, you have to go down the stairs. And then like it was just wall to wall people. They had traditional Kenyan music playing in the back, a band playing live music, and and there was just the food was like the remarkable. Like the meat was more. It was so good, and like everybody was just like, it felt like you were in Kenya. I wish now I want to go to Kenya. But the reason that was one of my favorite memories is because we love exploring food places together. We did I think we did Japanese food. We did so many things I can't even remember. But we went to
Ethiopian.
Ethiopian, and I took it upon myself one night to go check out the gay bars in DC, and so I took a scooter all the way from the west side of DC all the way to the northeast of DC, where all the gay bars are. Boy, experiencing gay nightlife in a different city is such an experience. Like I experienced Chicago in this past year, and then I experienced DC. I think I would go with a different lens this time because now that I'm in nightlife, I definitely have a different point of view of gay nightlife. And so, anyways, but that is definitely one of my core and favorite memories. Disneyland, obviously, um, but I do enjoy every in-person moment we do spend with each other because I don't know, we just like get each other without like saying two things. I know when she's upset, she knows when I'm upset, she knows when I'm happy, I know when she's happy. I know when she's trying to hold something in, I push it out of her. When I'm holding in something, she'll push it out of me. So there's no secrets or anything to hide from either of us, don't you think?
Absolutely. And that's why I like it.
And we're very both blunt people, and so it's just like we just no BS, no BS. Um, and what is your favorite thing about being my mom?
Favorite thing being your mom. I get to have a person who loves me for who I am inside and out. There's no judging. Um, the closeness, and a lot of people are not as close as you and I that I know of in my group of friends.
Right.
We really just get each other. I mean, you know me.
What a
I'm serious.
what a
It's just we
statement.
read body language. We read each other. It's just we accept each other. Um, and you're very open, and you're not close minded, and you're adventurous, and you're just trying to find who you are. And I just think that's fantastic. Gets me excited.
Yeah, I think I don't know. Whether you're watching and you believe in a higher power or God, or you don't believe in God, you don't believe there's a higher power, and that's okay. But this, like I said, we're talking about family love, and I think we were defining love last episode, Mom, and
Mm,
I don't think that unless you pull out the literal definition out of a Webster dictionary, I don't think you
yeah.
can really define it that way. If you want to be in the more like literal sense, but
Mhm.
I think love goes back to what like is your like what are your pillars as a person. And so this episode's
Unconditional love is what I call it.
unconditional love. Like we were talking about in the last episode about love, and we briefly in the two episodes from now we're going to talk about romantic love, Mom. And so
Mhm.
I talked about how important it was to find someone that treats you like your friends and your family do. Like they love you unconditionally, 100%. They love you at your worst, and they love you at your best.
Good
um
luck.
and I think my mom and I are a great example of this. Without going into too much detail, my mom has seen me at my worst. I think the last time she's at my worst was after my breakup of 4.5 years, and my mom was there every day, every weekend, cooked for me, brought me back to life. And I think about a year or so ago, like she had a hard time, and so I was there for her. And so, um, whether, like I said, you have a parental unit or whoever is your mom or your dad or someone that you look up to, um, it's so important to be there for each other. And my mom and I have that relationship. We're gonna talk about chosen family in the next episode. So, I have really funneled how I was raised and found my tribe, so to speak, because I learned what love meant from my mom. Um, so it's time for a little fun on the One More Thing podcast. We are going to talk about traditions. Um, There are a lot of traditions I look forward to in my family. Traditions such as gathering for Christmas Eve at my uncle's, white elephant. We're probably like 50 people. That's a tradition I look forward to like every single year. So I make it a mission to be there. Um, I think another tradition I look forward to is making cookies with my mom. We definitely have scaled it down, haven't we? We used to make
Yeah, and cooking together too.
and cooking together too. But mom, remember how many cookies did we make that one year with Nanu?
We made 750 scucciolatis.
Scucciadottis are this Italian cookie that's like
They're
it's
like a fig Newton, Italian fig Newton.
yeah, they're so good. For that point, I was on frosting duty, and my cousin Riley was on sprinkle duty. So I do miss making those, but this year, like, and I think the last like 3 or 4 years, we've kind of narrowed it down.
Hmm.
So my mom and I make two of our favorite cookies, or we pick one each. This year, we made about six different cookies. We baked with my cousin Riley and Robbie, and we made chewy chocolate chip. It was just everything that my cousin wanted to make. We just made. She just took over the kitchen. It was so much fun. Um, and it's just a
That was our tradition, getting together.
yeah, it was our tradition getting together and my mom and I making our cookies and refrigerating the dough and getting the ingredients. And I'm telling you, when my mom knows I'm coming to town, she'll get the ingredients about 3 days ahead of time. So that way, that way she has it. I'm like, what did you get this? Did you get that? Um, anyways, but those are the traditions I look forward to. Um, is there any specific traditions that you look forward to, Mom?
With us together.
Or just in general about family, like, I feel.
Traditions. I like. I get really excited because Nanu and Nana and Auntie Joe taught me how to make cannolis. I learned how to make Italian sausage, and it's just being together and making that stuff. It's just brings you together. It brings you love. That's why I like tradition so much.
It's a
And us cooking together, and you so eager to learn to cook, and that just makes me happy.
Well, I learned from the best. Let's just say that. Even though my marinara sauce is probably better. Um, no, in any, tradition, speaking of, like, it's just like my Filipino side, like, we all compete for our chicken adobo and who has the best chicken adobo recipe. On my Italian side, it's marinara sauce. And so we, everyone has their, what they do. I won't divulge my recipe, but um, e- cooking has become such a hallmark of our family. Just like anytime I come into town, one of the nights has to be cooking with her, and it's just we play off each other's energy. Like when she came into town for her birthday, um, I did this. I made the sauce. She helped. She made the meatballs, even though they were size of hockey pucks. Um, you bake if you could have took somebody out if you could.
No,
Um,
they were nice and soft inside.
they were, but it's not as bad as sometimes we made those cookies. They were flat because we rushed them. We melted the butter. Word to the wise: freeze your cookie dough or refrigerate your cookie dough. Anyways, so you kind of explained it already, but can you expand upon like what how has traditions become so important to you? Like, was there like a memory of like being in the kitchen with your nana, or was it like what was that first memory like? I got to keep this up.
Um, what I used when I was in the kitchen with my grandmother and my Auntie Joe, because I would go over there and she'd always want to bake cookies, and she always made it really fun.
Mm-hmm.
And Nana, I mean, she was just very stern woman, but showed her love by showing me how she made her cannoli shells and how she made Italian sausage, and how we went outside in our garden and picked capers and our parsley and fresh lemons and
Mm-hmm.
figs. I mean, we
Mm-hmm.
had everything in our backyard
Yeah.
because we Italians grow everything in their backyard, and then you go get your meat. I mean, it's good to know where your food comes from,
Hmm.
and
So,
it's organic.
so cooking with your nana was the starting point.
Yeah.
And for those who are tuning in, my mom lives at my great grandmother's house, and so I actually have capers in my refrigerator right now with a bunch of apples and Meyer lemons in my fridge. And so my mom actually moved recently back into my her grandmother's house, and so I think it was like a very full circle moment of her going back to her roots, where she felt the most, if you can agree with me, the most grounded and the most safe. Um, so there's that. Anyways, but and the last question I have for you, Mom, is why is family so important to you?
Why is family so important to me? Because, having a family, like I brought you up, son, I mean, it's people that you're very close with, and you could be who you are. Having
Hmm.
friends, it's really hard to find anybody that's like family.
Hmm.
Um, and having a family just means a lot to me because there's a lot of love, and there's
Hmm.
having, well, mostly it's like having children because you're a part of me.
Hmm.
Always want to have kids and just show you how to grow up and how to do this and how to do that. I mean, it's just something I've always looked forward to because I didn't have much of that growing up myself. So I gave you everything I didn't really get because my parents divorced when I was 6 months old.
Yeah.
So that's probably the main reason because I just think it's important.
Yeah. You know, my parents are divorced, but I think I, I don't. My house was, I could say, growing up, the house was always filled with love, and my dad was very hard on me with writing and everything. That's probably why I'm so good at writing now, because my dad was so hard on me about it. Um, and he wanted us to always be outside. He always wanted us to explore new things, and so I am very fortunate to have grown up in that house. Um, I know a lot of people don't have that, and so um, I hope this episode brings you comfort. Like I said, if you don't have parents, or you have a parental figure you look up to, or someone you look up to, or you have your tribe or your chosen family, lean on them. And if you are feeling alone, realize that that's okay. And there are plenty of resources out there. I know in LA, for us queer folks, we have the LGBT Center. I know there are all kinds of groups people can go to. If you're feeling like you need to be doing something and you need to make new friends, like, you know, go join a local sports team. Go. For me, the reason how I created my friends in LA was just getting out there, going to a bar and kind of just trickled on. And I will touch about this in the next episode, but I've had a lot of my friends just going places and going around spots where I probably would meet somebody that I would click with. Um, and yeah, so like I said, I know that I'm very lucky to have this relationship with my parents and my mom and my dad. But I know a lot of folks don't have that. So, like I said, if you don't have, there's plenty of resources out there. And if you're just listening and you are listening and I'm making you feel good and making you feel like love is in the air, or you're feeling love right now, I'm so happy to be here for you. And email me, comment down below, and I am more than happy to be there for you. But anywho, I want to thank my mom for joining us on One More Thing. Thank you so much, Mom, for being here.
You're welcome.
My mom goes to bed at like 7:30.
I read in bed.
But she texts, we do this, we have this say every night, doesn't matter what night it is, she'll text me love you most, and I'll say I love you more. But but it's always like at 7, between 7:30, 4, at like 8 o'clock, so I know that she's in bed reading a book or something. But
I live alone. Just I'm by myself with my dog and my cat. I mean, what else am I gonna do? I can't watch a lot of TV.
no, that's true. It's true. But anyways, I want to thank you, Mom, for joining us on One More Thing, and I hope that this resonated with you. Um, and like I said, this is a space not just for you. It's not just for me. It's for you. And so, if this episode resonated with you, let me know. And would love to discuss that more. But in the next episode, we are going to talk about chosen family. I'm going to talk about my best friends and how we became best friends and how we just join forces, and now like literally I have my people and I'm very, very happy. We'll talk about friendship a little bit and how it's natural to lose friends and stuff like that. And so I want to thank you for joining us today for episode 3 for how important is family love. I want to thank my mom, and I want to just give a huge shout out to my Auntie Joe. We miss you. I love you. And thank you for really just instilling this pillar of mine of being close to my family, because I without my family I wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't if I didn't have the support of my family, I wouldn't be doing this. So um and just to add one more thing, if anyone hasn't told you recently, I love you and I believe in you, and you can do anything you set your mind to. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe, follow, share as we expand this safe space together. See you next time.